My feet are completely off the pedals and we go into first gear, going to second gear, going to third gear, oh, tiny bit of sound there, going into fifth gear.
Hello guys and welcome back to Tierspec TV. Last year Nisse's Discovery 2, which is behind us, unfortunately had to be taken off the road as we discovered there was, well, a lot more rust than we had originally thought underneath. And since then, because the engine and the gearbox in this are in tip-top condition, it seemed like a shame to just throw it away or sell it or anything like that. And Nisse, you really fell in love with the Discovery 2. So since then, you've been on the search for a new one to swap everything over into. And they say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So we present to you for the second time the Tierspec TV Discovery 2.
So I went ahead, got yet another Discovery 2. Now there's a tiny bit of difference between the two, as this is the post 2002 model, which is indicated by the upgraded headlights it got on. So these ones are actually looking a bit like the Discovery 4 over there, and the Freelander as well, which also got a headlight facelift. And that also means that we actually got a 15p engine inside instead of the 10p engine, which Liam's got, which my old one also had. That guy over there. I think it might actually be the only 15p we got in the farm right now. We might have another one in a pickup somewhere. But really the main differences between a 10p and a 15p is that the ECU that comes with the 15p is a programmable one, which can be seen on the ECU as it says NNN, not MSB. So you can just stick in your nanocom, have a remap, and then just upload it straight into the ECU, and you can be going straight away. Other features is they found out that the heads are prone to cracking because all of the diesel galleries or lines are running inside of the head. So they took the return line off and placed it down here on the side and run it next to the intake runners, intake manifold, and onto the pressure regulator. So if you have a look at the pressure regulator and that has 3 lines onto it, then it's more likely a 15p. For the engine itself, I'm going to keep this engine and swap it out for my 10p just because the car was made with the 15p, and also the 15p is compliant with the Euro 4 what's it called, CO2 emissions test, where the Discovery or the 10p is only Euro 3. So I might run into some trouble, as this car got some special numbers from the 15p engine, and if I swap that out to a 10p, I might have some problems getting it MOT'd again. So just keeping on the safe side, I'm going to use the 15p, and it sounds in really good running order. I got some leaks around, as you can see. The front head thing plug here is coming out. I got loads of oil running down of it. The fuel pressure regulator on the other side is also leaking a lot, but stuff like the lines here that you normally see a lot rusty is looking really good, and all the components are looking really nice after a good wash. So I'm just gonna go at it. Of course I will be swapping the exhaust manifold and the turbo out, as I got pretty much a brand new turbo, and the exhaust manifold is also new. I had it skimmed after it warped and de-webbed, so I'll be throwing that on instead of this one. And of course my old turbo, so just swap the core in it. So those are more or less the only things I'll transfer from the old engine and onto this guy. Well, that is the engine in general condition. We will start him up. The only thing that isn't working is the gearbox. It's broken and it's stuck in 4th gear. Pretty much like that guy. And the main reason for that is people don't have a look at the oil, they don't service the gearbox, as the gearbox isn't as important as the engine. But when the gearbox, especially on the Land Rover, start leaking, they'll just leak out all the oil. And if you have a look and your gearbox is leaking, that's okay. But when it stops to leak, and it have been leaking before, then you need to do a service on it, because that's most likely all the oil's gone out. Which is the same case on this guy. All the oil fell out, the oil pump seized, and no oil getting to the gears, and those stuck in 4th gear. LT230 should be good to go. I'll keep that in stock for the Creep or some other project, and swap out my old one, as it's got higher gearing. And the clutch as well. I'll be throwing the clutch out from this guy and putting the LOF clutch we did on this guy onto this engine. Shouldn't be a problem, even though it's a dual mass and quite want to try a single mass, but I haven't got the time to get it back, because I need to get this car running next week. So hopefully, so this will be my new daily driver instead of the Freelander. I'm getting a bit tired of it. It's really not that much fun to drive. But anyway, that's the front. The color of it is this nice green. Actually, Liam and I both thought it was black from the pictures, like my old one, but this green is actually looking pretty nice. I kind of like it, but best case it would have been black like that, because you can really make it look nice. But the body panels, very few dents and very small dents around it. No rust or anything appearing from the outside, except for the top of the windscreen. We've got a bit coming there, but we can do that ourselves and fix that. Bumper is cracked. I want to get a heavy duty one at some point, but I'll be reusing this for now because of Brexit. It's pretty much impossible to get parts at a reasonably price right now, so I'll figure something out there. Other than that, it is the top spec of the Land Rovers. We got everything. We got the automatic climate controls, 2 ways. We got heated seats. We got air conditioning both in the front and the rear. As Liam and I think this might have been a what we call a white plate vehicle. As you can see, this is the dual colored one, but normally just all white, which means that it had back seats in it as well, because we got a complete set of rear seats and seat belts and everything, and the air conditioning is also gone through the roof so we can cool the people behind it as well. And leather seats, of course, nice leather seats. So it is the top of the spec, or top of the range of it. The only thing it doesn't have is a fuel burner, which is meant to sit right there. If we go over and have a look at my old one, I actually got a unit sitting right up here, so I'll be pulling this guy out and hopefully figure out the wiring. Should be somewhere around. And in the manual it says that this heater here, preheater as it's called, will heat up the whole engine bay or the cooling system in about 3 minutes to operating temperature. So I'll definitely be wiring that in both to a button inside and also in the key fob, so I can turn it on and off. Inside it looks really mucky, really old, but with a nice shine and clean, it should be coming up quite nicely. The only wear and tears there is the steering wheel right here, the gaiters which I can swap out, and this bit right here, so it's a bit tight. Those are pretty much, and the seat as well, we've got a tiny bit of tearing here, but no holes in the base of it. It's just getting a bit soggy here. Passenger seat looks like brand new, haven't been used that much. And again, rust wise, normally we will see rust around this bit here and starting to get a tiny bit down here, but this isn't anything really to worry about. If I should do anything, I should just take this rubber piece off and make sure that's nice and paint it. Otherwise in here, no rust around the door frames, no rust down here, no rust on the inside of the door, complete solid, really nice. And of course up here in the rear drain thing, we got a tiny bit of rust, which is completely normal. I also got it on that guy. The only problem is it's a really awkward location to start doing anything welding or stuff like that. So I'll have a look into it. Rear bit, nice big space. We got the space compartment here with the tiny locker for stuff. We haven't got one on that side. We don't know why. It must be the spec of it, having the rear seats inserted. And here you could also see the vents for the air conditioning, and they could turn it on and off from the back, which is really nice. But I'm going to keep it as a big cargo space. 1, it's really practical, and 2, it's really expensive to get seats installed in a car and get it registered as a white plate compared to a yellow plate. Rust wise, got a tiny bit of rust on the chassis, on this leg going that way. The one on the right, from as we see it now, is completely brand new, more or less, looking brand new. So got a tiny bit of rust to do on that side. But of course, I don't know if I'm a prepper or preparer for disasters, but I did go ahead and get a big piece of a chassis here. I'll be installing whenever the rear of the car is in condition for it. And you just swap that out. And also means that we can finally go and get the tougher stuff and bits and bobs installed, hopefully without finding any more rust.
That was the catalyst for this whole thing. It was trying to fit those mud flat brackets, and that just last year, and then by trying to fit the brackets we found all the rust.
Yeah, that's just where everything started, and the whole
went
car
downhill.
Yeah, downhill from there. So hopefully we got a good enough car to install the Tough Rug mud flaps from Phil in the UK. And of course we got all the bits and bobs. Nice sensor console bit here we'll be installing as well, looking much better than the standard one. So That's a nice insurance to have, and of course I'll always be swapping this bit over, so I can have my fire extinguisher and some other bits installed to it. Still got loads of bits I need to transfer from this car and over to that one. That's the D44 wheel carrier for the bigger wheels, so I need to get the wheels over to it as they look a bit better. And the doors on the later models are made of completely steel compared to the ones on the older models pre-facelift. We've got the steel and the alloy implemented in each other. What that will happen is start bubbling the metal, as you can see down here. Doing that thing, getting really weak. So if you got a facelifted one, you got a completely steel door, which makes the door not swell up or rust as badly as the other one. So that's a really nice touch as well. And the indicators are now located up here, I believe. When the old one, they're actually located down here. So now you've got the brake and the reverse lights and the indicators up here, where normally you will have the indicators down here. And also got parking sensors. Right now they're just screaming whenever I put them on, so I don't know if they're working quite correctly, but they are there and all the wiring is there, so should be able to get it to work somehow. That's it. That's a new project, which hopefully will only be lasting for next week when it can be driving. And it's already MOT'd and all that stuff, so as soon as I can swap the gearboxes out and redo the engine, I can just go straight out on the road and start driving around and use it as a daily. But let's jump inside and have a look at all the cool features it's got. The engine is in really good condition. Starts straight off, no weird or funny sounds, squeaking sounds. Nice to rev as well. Oh, and as well, with the 15p engine and the 10p, the 15p got an extra wire going to the box, or the air box, the air cleaner, which is supposed to stop the car for making the car more smooth when you're doing off-roading and towing stuff, so it's not as, you know, you kind of get that humpy thing when you drive it and goes like, you should hopefully stop that because the throttle is more responsive, more refined doing that. So that's another key way to figure out if it's a 10p or 50p engine you got. In the car itself, we got the controls for the volume on the radio. We got the cruise control activated up here. Actually only got two buttons here that are not used. This guy and this guy, I'm pretty sure they are left from factory like that, so you can install things later on. They're not used. Parking sensor. Yeah,
we're not that close to the wall.
No, I wouldn't say so. We got the hill descent. Don't know if it's working, but I haven't got any faults on the ABS, so that should be working. We need to test it out once we get the car driving. And the air suspension, which is working quite nicely actually. The air suspension bits, like the old one, people tend to swap out the air suspension for coil springs, as the coil springs can't break all of a sudden. But if you do a lot of towing and driving around, the air suspension is really, really nice because it can level out the vehicle whenever you're having a big load on the back of the car, so you don't, you know, look like an amateur just dragging the rear of the car over the asphalt. So you can actually turn it up and down, and you can also get a gear or a key fob, like something like this, just without the key on it, where it's green on the inside, and then you can press it and then the car will raise itself up. So if you're reversing into a trailer, you can go, oh, it's right there, click it, the car will raise up into the trailer. Really nice feature. I might see if I can get one of them just to completely spec out the car as much as I can. But now it's raised up in the highest position. It didn't work once I got the car, but after playing around with my trusty nanocom quite easily, I got it to work. To get it down, hold it in. Now we're lowering it down to normal drive height. And the ace should also be working. There's no testing of it. If you go around a corner, it will just counter it as an active sway bar and then balance out the vehicle. So we have to try it out and see if it's actually working. Now, gearbox wise, my feet are completely off the pedals, and we go into first gear, go into second gear, go into third gear. Oh, tiny bit of sound there. Going into fifth gear, and can't go into reverse right now, but nothing happens, trust me. The only gear we can go in is fourth gear in low range. So he was driving fourth gear low range, gearbox completely seized up. That's the only gear we got right now, so that will have to get swapped. But another nice key thing here is, have a look, we got the low, neutral and high range, but we as well got the differential locking, which means this car is fitted with differential lock, which my old car did not have. It only had like this sticker here, it did not have this guy over here and the imprint on it. So that is another nice feature to have a differential locking. You'll be able to you know, manage from the inside of the cabin. So that will definitely get there useful at some point. And the air conditioning unit here, I really wanted this kind of display instead of the knobs you have to turn. I don't know why. I'm just getting refined now. The hashtag Discovery Life. Just really want this head unit instead. Might swap out as it's a bit kind of hard to see all the scratches on the front cover here. I can just swap out from the unit from that guy. Should be good to go. Another thing, you really know you're living in luxury when you got lights in the mirrors and you got a mirror for the driver as well, not only the passenger. So that is just living the high life. And I've got the ski, what you call it? Roof rack, cargo roof rack carriers on the top of it, so I could get a tent put on top of it. It was really nice. Really want to try that and go camping with it. With all the space in the back here, you can sleep on top, and you got the air conditioning in the back as well for hot days. Absolutely perfect. And heated seats, all the controls down here as we know them. And I got the active rear mirror as well, so if anybody rearing me with a high beam on, this mirror will dampen itself down so I don't get completely blinded. Pretty keen to see how that works. The old ones have a little tab on the back where you can flip it up and flip it down, the mirror itself. On the posh version we got this nice mirror in it. But that is pretty much it. We can't really go out for a drive or anything. We can 4th gear, not that exciting. But I think the main purpose right now is just start taking the whole thing apart. So I got the engine and gearbox out of that guy pretty easily. Main thing is that we got a JCB, so we can pull out the whole drivetrain or the whole power pack in one go, which normally you can't do on a jack. So I have to take the engine out and then have to take the gearbox out. But I just took everything from the engine bay, disconnected everything from the engine, went underneath and did the exact same on the gearbox. I only unscrewed this guy here. Not did anything else to the other. Of course I also unscrewed this one, but I didn't take anything off it because I can drop the gearbox straight down and then pull it out with the JCB. It worked quite well. I did it only one man, and it took about me a whole day to get the engine out. I split it up in 2 days, but one whole day you'll have the whole thing out. Once I got the whole thing out of this guy, I'll do all the rust work and all the prepping of it, clean it all up. So what happened to that guy won't happen to this car as well. It's way too nice to let that happen. So completely clean it up, rust proofing it, swapping out the gearboxes onto the engine, do a nice service on the engine, all the like the water pump, the oil cooler, all those things are hard to get to. Redo that once it's out, put it back in, and hopefully have a driving car again. So that is the plan of the action for the next couple of weeks here, or the next 2 weeks really, 1 week. Actually I only got 1 week to do it. So yeah, hopefully we get more Discovery Race stuff to do, and as well, of course, all the Tough Rock bits have to get installed. We've got a panel here for extra 12 volts units and USB. Have to get the radio unit in, have to get the mud flaps in, all those nice things. So yeah, I think that is kind of the end of it. I was just draining all the fluids and taking the whole engine apart. That's for the next one.